I feel like I'm the most fierce competitor there is. I don't think I'm ever going to find something to equal the game of basketball for me. You know, basketball is my love, always have been. I can't ever envision an ending of something like that until I'm dead and gone. I felt compelled each and every day to go out and take it an extra mile.
There's something compelling about this guy, so likable, so beautiful to watch, and yet with the athletic heart of an assassin, and just look right through you.
The Shrug.
Did you see that one? Michael indicating you can't believe it. His 35 points has set an NBA record most points.
The Shot.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. It's gone at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago.
The Flu Game.
Suffering from flu-like symptoms. His status is uncertain.
Without even mentioning who this is, most of you already know who I'm talking about, and that's Michael Jordan. Probably one of the greatest athletes of all time, one of the greatest competitors of all time, in my opinion. Growing up as a kid, he was somebody that I idolized along with many others because of how incredibly competitive and good he was. Now, the Mind Moon Book of the Week is a great biography that actually covers his life, not only as a competitor, but it's also his personal life. Because when we look at greatness like Michael Jordan, we always wonder what it was like. How did they become like that? Now, Roland Lazenby did a fantastic job of journalism. He's a sports journalist for over 30 years, and he put this amazing book together. He actually was saved. His life was saved by Michael Jordan because one time after a game he was trying to get a quote and he almost slipped off a loading dock, and Michael grabbed him and saved him from that. Now, this book was kind of inspired by me to check out because of the Last Dance documentary, which covers the 1990 championship Chicago Bulls and the 6 championships they won. With Jordan as their leader. And so I always recommend for biographies and autobiographies, sometimes there's a lot of details that are quite long. Me personally, if I don't read them, most of the time I like to listen to them, believe it or not, on audiobook when I go on for walks or maybe I work out. So I recommend that for everybody else. Now, from this book, I want to give you 3 key themes that I got out of it that really gave me an insight as to what this guy did to be so great. The first was that Michael Jordan was an absolutely ruthless competitor.
Who's your favorite guy to play against?
Myself. Because a lot of times I had to battle with myself to keep challenging myself. When you get to a certain pinnacle, you got to find some ways to keep going out there for 82 games.
It started with him as a young boy trying to fight for his father's love and affection against his own brother. And later on, he was always constantly looking for signals. Anything, whether it was basketball or anything else, he immediately turned that on. And if anything, it was a huge motivator for him to push through workouts, push through injuries, and really continue to improve his game.
He never would stop. He would keep coming and coming and coming.
Jordan is in another time, in another space, on another plateau.
The idea of competition is the kind of thing that mentally allows you to keep pushing yourself to higher heights and continually to improve on things. Even when Jordan was at his peak doing incredibly well, he's very hard on himself and his team as to what they can do to improve. And as a result of it, they won 6 championships in the 90s.
70 has become a reality for the Chicago Bulls.
The second thing was visualization, right? And of course, with all these books on psychology and self-development, that's one theme that we always see, the idea of visualization. And so when Michael was actually in high school, he didn't make his varsity team. And it was a huge blow to him. And so every time that he finished practice, he felt a little bit tired, he didn't feel like, doing a workout, he would close his mind and visualize his name being on that list just again to competitively bring that out of him to push him to the next level. And of course, this idea of visualization helps with not just wishful thinking, it's not enough, but to really visualize the sights, the sounds, the smells, the feelings that you'll have when you attain those certain goals. And this is something that Michael and the Chicago Bulls actually further enhanced and developed, because Phil Knight actually brought a lot of Eastern practices into the team around meditation and learning how to visualize and rest to be able to develop champions. And the last one is losing hurts. And trust me, I know, because I hate losing a lot more than winning. But losing does show you what it takes to be successful. Now, when Jordan first started off in the Bulls in the early 90s, he was constantly getting beat up by the Detroit Pistons, who were champions back then, and the Bulls could never beat them in the postseason. And it was very, very physical.
The Pistons are now pointing totally at Michael Jordan. They don't believe that any of the other four Bulls can hurt them at this point.
And so Jordan finally came to terms and said, you know what? If we're going to beat these guys, we got to out-muscle them too. So Jordan started hitting the gym. He bulked up, I think, an extra 20 or 30 pounds of muscle. And then whooped the Pistons ass. And then beat the Pistons and went on to win their first championship. And so this idea of constantly looking at your defeats and looking for those small details, not as to why you didn't win, but why did you lose, essentially reveals the kind of things that you have to work on. And it's something that most of us don't like to look at, but when we look at those fine details and we fine-tune them, that's how we take people from being very good, top level, etc., to one of the greats. So that's the book of the week. Definitely either go out and buy it or listen to it on audiobook. I definitely recommend audiobook just because it's a little bit easier to get through it. There's a lot of stories, a lot of details. But more importantly, as you listen to these stories, the themes and the messages will pop out a lot easier for many of you who maybe not be accustomed to reading so many books at a time. So, as always, happy Wisdom Wednesday, and as always, I'll see you next week.